Hi, good morning. Welcome back to the 2024 Gardening Unplugged series. I'm Aaron Selby. I'm the production supervisor here at Plant Lights. Today we're going to be talking about Selby's Selects number 2. Today we're going to start off with a low growing ground cover we just started putting in production. This is Antennaria parviflora. It's our little native pussy toes. This has been a phenomenal ground cover in our dry areas. I couldn't just grab one pot for an effect, so I grabbed the whole flat to represent what it's going to do in the garden. This is a beautiful drought tolerant full sun glaucous ground cover. It's been evergreen, very, very nice, even through the summer heat. The next plant we're going to do is my favorite plant that native-wise. This is Conradina verticillata rocky top. This is an absolute gem of a plant. It will be loaded with these beautiful rosemary-like pink flowers. It spreads about 3.5 to 4 feet wide and is an absolute drought tolerant, full sun, native mint. Has a great aroma. And I can't say enough about this plant. Been using it a lot in my designs here. The next plant I've been using a lot over the years is Spigelia alabamensis. This is one that is endangered. We cannot ship this plant, unfortunately, but this is an absolute must-have for all you local gardeners or people who are planning on visiting. This will clump out at about 12 inches and is just topped with hundreds of these pink gentian-like flowers. It was formerly known as Spigelia gentianoides, and it's an absolute must-have for full sun plant. All right, this is another native we're going to talk about. I just started promoting this plant a lot after a little bit of trialing. This is Phyla nodiflora. This is one we're calling Ramble On. It's a native. It spreads throughout our filtration overflow rain garden bed. It's not getting any irrigation other than when it does rain. It's an absolute beast of a plant. It continues to spread and is topped with these beautiful little bicolor purple and white flowers by the thousands. Really, really tough workhorse of a plant. Great little full sun, low growing ground cover. All right, now we're going to get into a couple of my non-native ground covers I absolutely recommend for every garden. This is Sinningia tubiflora. This is a gesneriid. It's related to African violets. It develops these amazing stolons and tubers throughout the pots. These are probably the best bargain at Plant Lights right now. You get a lot of plants in here. Very, 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 very nice plant. Spreads via stolons and corms. Has these wonderful citrus fragrant flowers. I was rolling to get some cuttings out of Tony and Anita's yard 2 weeks ago. I was 25-30 feet away from the clump and it hit me with this beautiful lemon scent coming up on a warm summer day. Really, really, really great plant, super drought tolerant. Usually pests avoid it, that sort of thing.
But they have pretty strong stems. When they flower, will they stay vertical? Or
they stay upright. They hold their flowers. I actually cut that out of the garden this morning because our pots didn't have anything going on them. But a really beautiful flower. There's a nice other hybrid out there that shrubs. It's a little bit taller called Carolyn. It was bred. It has a pink flower, but with the same fragrance. So yeah, that's Sinningia tubiflora. All right, the next plant I absolutely love. This is Clematis hexapetala Mongolian Snowflake. We grow this all over, full sun, super duper duper hot loving plant. Has a really nice honey fragrant flower. I don't know if anybody knows a native of the Southwest called Phyla. No, maybe. Anyhow, it smells a lot like that. It's a great alternative for Phyla here. It's a beautiful little flower. Just keeps going and going and going. That's Clematis Mongolian Snowflake. No, these are more shrub forming ones. If you go down to our Alpine Islands, you'll see one in flower down there. You can expect like a 12.5 to 18 inch ball of flowers and plant, basically. And right now it just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating all summer long. It keeps on flowering. Cool, so those are our ground covers, the low growing plants I would use. There's a couple evergreens in here. Once again, the Conradina and the Antennaria are both very nice new introductions. All right, now we're gonna get into our mid-size full sun plants that I love. These are two. We've got Baptisia arachnifera. This is once again, an endangered Baptisia. It's grown for this beautiful pubescent foliage. You can see one in flower right behind us. This in Baptisia simplicifolia, which is just on the other side of the mound over there, are in flower right now. And what we found was a little bit of hanky-panky between arachnifera and simplicifolia. And now we also grow arachnifolia. This is a hybrid that we have found at Plantalites, and we grow it and sell it. Great, great underused plant. Arachnifera, hard to ship. Arachnifolia, we can ship anywhere. Same phenos, same growth habits, absolutely beautiful plants. Either one of those are great mid-size, full sun perennials. All right, one of the newest plants I'm super excited about. We've ran this one through the ringer. This is Agastache Pink Pearl. This thing is a blooming machine. Got a bunch of them trialing out throughout the beds here and in organic soil, plus a really, really nice lean soil. They both are performing really well. Heavy blooms. It made it through winter like a champ. More importantly, it's made it through both hot, humid summers. And that's usually where we break down with the Agastaches here in Zone 7B, Raleigh. All right, the next plant. These are the Marcella series of Echinacea. These things have been absolutely amazing in our welcome beds. This is Rainbow Marcella. It's a phenomenal, like, tricolored flower. You get lots of the traditional pinks, purples, a little bit of soft hues of like some peachy pink in there as well over time. These have done really well in my garden over the last 4 years. Just divided these out actually this last winter. All right, here we go into the large plants for sun. There's a couple. We're gonna first start off with this is by far the longest blooming plant here in the whole garden. This is Heliotropium Augusta lavender. You can see it planted all through this welcome bed. This plant has literally been in bloom, I would say 10 out of the 12 months out of the year. Absolutely flowering machine. Garden thug at times, give it some space. Definitely likes to ramble through things, which is great. Can't say enough about this plant. Extremely drought tolerant. I believe these are native to Mexico and South America. This is one that's done really, really good here in our high humidity and our moderate couple winters. This is a great plant here. This is one we've done forever. Jasminum officinale frohas. Beautiful white fragrant flowers. Crazy rambling vine. Great texture and contrast in the garden. Use it a lot in my designs, containers, and in the garden. Phenomenal plant. This thing you can expect to thug up on everything you plant around. It's great if you train it, but I also have loose forms of this just kind of rambling loose through the garden. The chartreuse foliage is a phenomenal contrast to a lot of these plants. I've seen it used well in both shade or morning sun, afternoon shade, as well as full baking hot sun. Doesn't burn. It's a great, great plant. Plants we're moving into a lot of right now with a couple different varieties are the punicas, all the pomegranates. These things are workhorses here. Very, very, very easy, big shrub to grow. And these are all fruit producing varieties. Some have a better palate and are a little bit more palatable than others. We're doing a number of varieties at the moment and are continuing to add more. This is one we just put in the production a few years back. This is Russian Giant. This thing is an absolute beast of a shrub. I would say 15 by 15. Give it some space space. You can also keep these sheared back to whatever size you like as well. And by far one of the most impressive plants that we grow are all the leucocasias, or formerly known as Colocasia giganteas. This plant, believe it or not, started off as a seedling about this big, maybe a millimeter, simply about 4 months ago. Yeah. Yeah, so you can take these plants from seedlings to, I've seen them get up to about 10, 12 feet tall in a season. The leaves at times will get larger than the golf carts are around, about the size of a Mini Cooper, that sort of stuff, a little Fiats. Absolutely beast of a plant. Get them established in the garden in spring. Great container I just take in and out of my garage every year.
Do they need a ton of water?
Once they're established, they don't need a lot. You have a huge tuber underground that has a lot of storage starch and is capable of taking it. However, they are an elephant ear, and elephant ears to get established usually take a pretty solid amount of water and a lot of like organic nutrition. The bigger you get them, the faster they are.
Unless sun?
Full sun will produce the biggest, grandest plants I've seen for sure. All right, cool. So that wraps up the sun. Does anybody have any questions so far? We're rolling. Good. All right, now we're gonna get into the shade plants, the stuff I love. We're gonna go in the same order from low growing ground covers all the way up to our big grand plants. We're gonna start off with a great little native. We can't sell enough of these. This is Mehania cordata. We sell a couple different varieties. This one is our pink flowering variety. It also comes in a beautiful lavender flower. This is a deciduous ground cover. And it's adaptable to a little bit of sun, especially the cordata with the purple flowers. We actually can grow this in a lot more sun than you would think. This is a beautiful little native that just rambles. For all you permaculturists out there, I'm plugging Stellaria chickaboom. This is an actual native chickweed. So most of us are used to ripping them out of the garden. This is one we do. It's usually smothered in spring with these beautiful little stellate flowers that are white, stands out very nice. This is, the permaculturists love this plant. It is edible. It's a chickweed just like we pull out of our garden all the time. So it makes people chuckle that they're actually spending money on them. The next plant I use a lot in landscapes are Ophiopogon japonicus gyoku ryu. This is one you have to kind of be patient with. It takes time to build up masses. It's a great turf substitute. I use it all the time for that. I also have used it in mass as a great drought tolerant ground cover, but once again you have to work on that over time unless you have a huge budget where you can buy in a ton of it. But I would divide these out about every 3 to 5 years, and believe it or not, you can fill in a space that's 10 by 10 from probably 8 of these pots, I would say, in a matter of about 3.5, 4 years. So
that's a mondo?
That's a dwarf mondo, yeah. And it offsets really good. Yeah.
Rabbits get it.
Yeah, they like that too.
I'm trying to fill in cracks around walking stones.
Yeah, yeah, that will work.
Does it spread?
It will. It does a little bit, but very slowly. It's a compact spreader, so you'll want to have a nice organic soil to give it that extra nutrition to get it going, that sort of thing. All right, the plants I can't talk enough about, we're going to move into some of our mid-sized stuff, are the genera of Carex. Carex are starting to take off, thankfully. They finally are getting there. They come in all sorts of shapes, sizes, textures. They can tolerate extreme drought once established. They're absolutely phenomenal as far as texture goes. We've got fine variegated texture. There's this little thread-like leaf textures here. They also come in these beautiful, the natives are a lot of time these beautiful glaucous blues with wide rippled leaves. So the amount of texture and color you can use with these plants is absolutely amazing. I don't think that there's a carex I don't use in any of the landscape designs I do.
And most of them are okay and fairly dry for it?
Once they are established, they can take super dry. It is ridiculous how dry these things can run. Everybody needs to establish these. Varieties like the Moroias can even handle a lot of sunshine if they're getting a little bit more water. But once again, through my whole drought experience here recently, Carex avarillo is massive in full sun, about 18 by 18, floppy, massive. This is another variety, Silver Falls, that gets massive like that. It's a sport off of another variety I think that we used to do called Everest. Once again, big, bushy, great texture, mounds in the garden. And once again, you can get into all these beautiful natives. Some of these are in full sun right as our entrance to the gardens. This is a beautiful native. So Carex are some of the better mid-sized ones. Once again, I love the next plants, polygonatums. This is an absolute workhorse in your garden. Varieties that are like odoritum, variegatum, very easy to find and pass along plants. This is one we do. It's a double wide called Angel Wing. But they come in all sorts of great textures, colors, sizes. Absolutely nuke proof. It'll be here with the cockroaches. You can't get rid of that one. We're gonna get into the next plant, epimediums. Do a ton of epimediums. Through the last bit of drought we had, they took it the best, I think, out of all the plants I'd seen in my yard. I love 3 semi-evergreen varieties we do in particular. They have heavily mottled foliage, extremely prolific bloomers. Those 3 are Spritzer, Domino, and Pink Champagne. They've been around a little bit. They're very popular, but there's a reason for it. They absolutely are nuke-proof plants that are good to go. All right, we're gonna slowly move into the medium, out of the mediums now and into some of the larger stuff for shade. See if I can move that thing one more time. There we go. All right, the next bit that we're going to talk about are all of the Araliaceae. These are all big plants. I grew up out in the Bay Area of California where we had these in our yard that got up to about 15, 20 feet tall. They come in all sorts of varieties, and we're doing a couple different species these days. This is the good old-fashioned Japonica. This is Japonica variegata, and the other one is spiderweb. These things can take some really, really difficult dry conditions, as well as really harsh winter exposure. This is up underneath a lilac here in the garden, but it has completely full northern exposure to wind and cold through the winter months and shows minimal to no damage.
What's the name of these plants?
This is Fatsia japonica.
Oh, yeah, okay.
This is one called Spider's Web. The other one is called just a cultivar variegata. This is another collection we've done out of Asia. This is Fatsia polycarpa. This is another variety we just put in the production. It's very slow and difficult, unfortunately, to clone. It's unlike the japonica, so it's patience and time with this one. This is called Beastie Boy. So this is going to be an absolute crazy plant. There's one right through the garden at the end of this variegated gardenia bed over here. So you guys should all go check that out. This is one we've had in production. It's just very difficult and slow. Another one of the allies of Fatsia is when they take Fatsia japonica and cross it into the English ivy. And this is a well-behaving shrub ivy weird plant. It kind of rambles. You can train it as an espalier, but it's a beautiful drought tolerant rambling plant through morning sun, afternoon shade. It does best. Absolutely did not wilt one bit through the summer drought we've had. Great ally and hybrid there. All right, some of the freakier plants I love are going back to some of the Solomon seals. This is Polygonatum kingianum. I use this a lot in landscape designs. It's sort of an imposter vine. If you look closely, it gets these little curled leaves, and it loves to climb and ramble up through trees and other plants. I don't know if any of you grow Gloriosa lilies, but they have the same sort of setup, and they just kind of grab on the things like a little toddler does and hangs onto a finger of a plant or so and just keeps growing. But that is Polygonatum kingianum. This is one called orange flower form, and we also do another variety I believe called Bellagio. All right, getting down to it. Absolutely grand plant that everybody should have, I think, for texture and stink in the garden are Amorphophallus conjax. One of the best textures you can do. Loves the summer heat, can take the cold. I've seen these grown all the way up into Ohio. They can definitely take the cold. Absolutely beautiful textures to the foliage. If you can put up with the stank for a couple days in spring before the foliage comes out, awesome.
This is konjac?
This is all konjac. There's a few hardy forms out there. Dunnii is really good. Albus, we've done a couple Albus konjac hybrids now called Combus. There's a ton of them that we do that are cold hardy. Cianus is a beautiful flowering one that develops this beautiful grape colored seed head. They're absolutely amazing. But I grow a lot of Amorphophallus just for its texture and color in the garden. It's absolutely bomber. And then my final plant that I can't pitch enough these days is Calycanthus aphrodite. You can grow this in sun or shade understory. This is one of Tom Rainey's hybrids. Tom Rainey's a plant breeder from NC State. He's professor there. He took the West Coast Calycanthus occidentalis and then ran it on the Asian variety of Calycanthus chinensis, so you get this beautiful blood red burgundy flower. It's an absolute showstopper at our spring open house. The tree is loaded with hundreds and hundreds of large flowers. I can't say enough about this plant. You can give it some space in the back of a garden and you won't go wrong. This is an absolute, it'll take sun or shade. So obviously once it's established, it takes a pretty decent amount of sun when it comes up, but more of like a morning sun, afternoon shade kind of setup. So
how tall will that get?
This is right out on the back patio. It's been out there for probably about, hard to say when they planted. I would say at least 6 or 7 years old. 15 by 15 out there, so not terribly large, but not terribly small. So, but it can take that morning sun, afternoon shade setup. So, just wanted to say thank you all for joining. Once again, if you have any questions about any of these plants, we will have a video on Gardening Unplugged to check it all out. Are there any questions about any of the plants that you guys see around the garden or any of these? The zones are all over the place, but primarily everything comes out of the garden here for zone 7B. Yeah. Yeah.
Where does this thing come from? Does it have a early flower?
What's it?
On this one.
This here, the konjacs?
Yes.
So the konjacs are voodoo lilies, and what will happen is usually around the end of April, mid-April, they force out this bizarre looking flower that the aroids do, and it has a flower that gives off the smell of carrion, so it's attracted by, flies to pollinate it. And what they are, these beautiful big alien-like flowers standing about yay tall. And yeah, they're up for probably about 5-6 days, and then they go down. Once they go down, the foliage emerges usually about 3 weeks after, 4 weeks after that. So, but yeah, absolutely crazy plants. Very easy to grow, adaptable to shade, sun, everything. So, but I grow these typically in deep, dark, dank shade where it's really, really dry. So, very easy. Yeah, good question. Any others? Yeah, what you got?
So this is agave festival.
It is.
We write about agave.
Yeah.
It doesn't take humidity lightly.
Oh, I think what you would see is a great example of how agave thrive in this environment. Tony's actually proud. A lot of times he will say that we can actually do them better than the Southwest because we get 40 inches of rain typically per year, where they're getting 8 to 12 at most. So we have 4 times the growth, which shortens their lifespan here by 75% typically. So absolutely, as long as you give them really, really good drainage, I think that is the only issue that people have here. And most of the time that is through the winter months. So you want to enhance the drainage that you plant them in through the cold, wet months.
How do I enhance the drainage?
Lots of gravel. We use products like this permatil you can find locally. It's an expanded shale called Stay-Lite. You can buy it bagged. I would say run close to like a 50-50 blend or something like that of native soil, depends on what you have. Here we can dig to China and it's all sand, and a lot of places are clay. So you just have to really know what you're playing with. If I have clay, I'm going to bring in a lot of like soil chips, organic amendment to enhance drainage and soil structure, so that clay doesn't fall back
Like
apart.
pine bark, you mean?
Pine bark soil conditioner, gypsum, and then lots of gravels, that sort of stuff, and mix those all 50-50 and replant. But you'll want to build the beds up so the drainage is always really good and sloped.
So if I grab a couple of plants now, should I just leave them alone till?
You can plant them right now, get them established. If they're cold hardy forms, most definitely get them established in the next couple months. Yeah.
By carefully watering?
What was that?
By carefully watering?
Yeah, carefully watering. They'll take a lot of water right now. So we, even through the winter months in the containers inside our greenhouses, we water most days, believe it or not. So in a container, they can take a lot more moisture. Yep, good question, good questions. Anybody else have a question for me? Yeah, what you got?
Species on the voodoo?
This is a konjac. This is the peach petiole Leo song. It's the cultivar that we've pulled here today. So they all stink. Yeah, I haven't found a konjac that doesn't stink yet. So if you do, you'll have a money maker on your hands. Yeah, for real.
And any guidance on making those really thrive, like lots of organic material?
I don't do much to my garden. They're on heavy root zones and they just keep spreading. So very, very easy plant. They offset and run. What's that?
3 feet?
Yeah, they max out at about 3.5, 4 feet tall. But I mean the canopies on them are about 4 feet each. Yeah, and you'll get massive bulbs. They tend to run a little bit. So really, really nice little plant. Super easy. You put it in the ground and that's that. Yeah, and typically there aren't any voles. They have a lot of oxalic acids in them, so they typically are irritant to rodents, that sort of stuff. So. Yeah. I wish they would eat some of my varieties like albus, because they get a little too prolific. So, yeah, great questions.
Is that very first ground cover an Antennaria, you said?
Antennaria.
Oh,
so it's a native called pussy toes is the common name. You'll see this throughout the woods here. We do a variety that we collected off the soon-to-be possible quarry site over at RDU. That's been in production for a few years as well. We've introduced a few new ones out there, but they're really, really nice natives that are doing really good here. So great silvery glaucous textures, really nice in the garden.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. It was nice talking with you all. I appreciate you spending some time with me this morning. Yeah, I look forward to talking to all of you. Thanks for coming out.